Om Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Yonta Pravishya Mamavam Chavimam Yonta Pravishya Mavacha Vimam Prasuptam Sanjevayatyakhila Shakti Dharaswadhamnam Anyauscha Hastacharana Anyauscha Hastacharana Shravanatvagarin Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Samacharana Sarojam Sandra Nila Budabham Jagana Nihita Panim Mandanam Mandananam Taruna Tulasimala Kandharam Kanjanetram Sadhayadavalahasam Vitthalam Chintayami Vitthalam Chintayami. So it's from 106, right? OB 106. The caste by the occupation of which a Brahmin earns his living is his real caste, though he is born as a Brahmin. 107. The main source of earning of a Brahmin is supposed to be a Shila Unj, not to demand but receive gifts when offered, to teach and to officiate at the sacrifices. 108. But the Brahmin who earns his livelihood by wielding weapons and fighting like a warrior should be considered as Kshatriya among the Brahmins. 109. The Brahmin who does business to earn his livelihood belongs to Vaishya caste among Brahmins. 110. The Brahmin who accepts the duties of a Shudra to make a living should be considered as a Shudra on account of his particular service. 111. When a Brahmin cannot get anything by begging from the best of his caste, he may beg from a Kshatriya Brahmin, and if not, then from Vaishya Brahmin. 112. If he does not get alms from any of the three types, he has permission to beg at the door of a Shudra. 113. However, he should never beg from any Brahmins from all the types whose moral behavior is reproachable or those who are ostracized. 114. There should be limit to the houses from where alms should be received. That is, only 7 houses are allowed, and no prior notice should be given to them, and he should be content with whatever he gets from those 7 houses. 115. Eknath says, now the Lord Sri Krishna is going to tell how the food received from these 7 houses should be utilized according to the Smritis. Bahirjalashayam gatva tatropasprisya vagyatah vibhajya pavitam sheshe bunjita sheshamahritam. Meaning of the verse: going to a reservoir of water such as a pond or tank or a lake outside the town or village, he should rinse his mouth there, and after offering due share of the food to those deserving it, that is Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, the Sun God and all beings, once it has been consecrated by sprinkling it with water, he should silently consume all the remaining food that was brought. 116. He should go outside the town, either on the bank of the river or a lake or a pond, and keeping his food near him, should do twice Achamanam. 117. By uttering Om 12 times and sprinkling that food by water, the food becomes pure. 118. He should make 4 parts of the food, each to be offered to Lord Brahma, Vishnu, the Sun, and all beings. 119. The part which is meant for Lord Vishnu should be put in the water of that river, etc. And the part meant for Bhutas, all created beings, should be kept on the ground on a leaf, etc. 120. The remaining 2 parts of the food are his own lot. Even then, if any poor person comes along who wants to eat something, he should give some part of it. 121. The most important thing is that the sannyasi should not feel proud about his generosity. If he is proud, it is against the concept of sannyasa. 122. However, sannyasi should not beg for more food with an anticipation that some beggars may come. 123. If it is a sin if the sannyasi takes some food and leaves some in his plate which is wasted, so he should eat everything in his plate. 124. A sannyasi is supposed to take measured food and should not overeat, because by overeating a man becomes lazy and drowsy. 125. Eknath says, now the Lord Sri Krishna is describing the most important duty and code of conduct of the sannyasi. Ekascharen mahimetam nissanga sanyatendriyaha atmakrida atmaratha atmavan samadarshanaha. Meaning of the verse: with his senses fully controlled, he should wander on the face of the earth alone and free from attachment. He should not entertain himself by any outward means, but should be happy with himself, and he should view all alike. 126. The sannyasi should be completely desireless. He should not seek any companion or co-traveler, wandering freely alone and unattached. 127. The sannyasi yokes his senses to his mind and ties his mind to the universal energy. He therefore sees only energy everywhere, and he is not particularly aware of his physical body. 128. He is happy in the joy of the self, and there is great energetic attitude within him, the everlasting joy. 129. He is saturated mentally, enjoying the bliss of Atman, and there is total homogeneous ecstasy in the universal identification in divine unity. 130. The Lord Sri Krishna describes further how he prefers wandering alone in order to have this unbroken joy. Vivikta kshema sharano madbhava vimalashayah atmanan chintayedeke kamabhede. This one was how to break this word.
Atmanam chintayedekam abhedena maya munihi.
Okay. Meaning of the verse: the sannyasi should stay in a secluded place, should have really pure faith in me, and should meditate upon me with a sense of universal unity of the jiva, the world, and me, the God. 131. The sannyasi should select a lonely place which is clean, clear, spacious, and without hubbub of people. He should have faith in me and constant awareness of me. 132. He should avoid things being disturbed by crowd of people and be happy and steady mentally. There is possibility of self-realization to the seeker of freedom. 133. He who realizes his Atman becomes wholeheartedly dedicated to me, seeing me alone everywhere. 134. When he concentrates on me with undivided attention, he forgets his own attention and others as separate beings, and thus he becomes one with me in the form of cosmic energy. 135. Then there is neither the man who concentrates on me as the object of his attention, but that state is the attainment of non-duality, the absence of various items, but a state of unity. 136. So long as there is a sense of duality, there is fear. But when there is this sense of oneness, the seekers become fearless. 137. In unity, there is neither bondage nor liberation, but both openly become one, about which the Lord expresses his wonder in the next verse. Anvikshetatmano bandham mokshancha jnana nishtaya bandha indriya vishkshepaha moksha eshancha sanyamaha. Meaning of the verse: there, having faith in the knowledge, the sannyasi considers deeply about what is bondage and what is freedom, and finds out that with senses actively projecting themselves, there is bondage, and the control of senses speaks itself about what is freedom. 138. When he attains unity, the bondage and freedom seem to be only imaginary and a thing of Maya, the great power. 139. The attachment of senses to objects is bondage when considered in the field of actions. 140. When there is desistance of objects by body, speech and mind, it amounts to freedom. O Uddhava, please note this. 141. He who really wants freedom should be far away from objects of pleasure. The Lord is explaining this further. Tasmaniyamya shadvargam madbhavena charen munihi viraktaha kshullakamebhyah labdhvatmani sukham mahat. Meaning of the verse: the sannyasi should control the 6 urges, having faith in me, should have no desire for anything, and should have great joy in self. 142. When we examine the issue of freedom and bondage, we find that really the attachment to objects is bondage and giving up of attachment is freedom. 143. How is this detachment to be achieved? For this, the seeker must make every effort to extricate him from the clutches of desires. 144. The desires have deep roots in the mind, and to cut them, one should develop apathy towards sensual pleasures. 145. To be successful in becoming truly disinterested, one should surrender all his religious and routine actions to me by letting go the concept of his being the doer of actions. 146. When all the actions are thus surrendered to me, the person develops love for me. He repeats my name, sings about my fame, and thinks about me in his mind. 147. When this love is developed, the man becomes slowly disinterested in worldly affairs, and gradually he is very happy in my devotion. 148. When he has such happiness in my devotion to a greater degree, he conceives that I am all-pervading and everything is Brahman. 149. When the mind thus becomes free from desire, the man may walk on the face of the earth with the experience of Brahman in everything and every being. Puragrama vrajan sarthan bibhartham pravishanscharet punyadesha sarichaila vanashramavati mahim. Meaning of the verse: he should walk on the earth where there are holy tracts, rivers, mountains, woodlands and hermitages, entering towns and villages, cowherd stations and caravan sarais for the sake of alms. 150. Then he may wander freely on the face of the earth and may visit places which are wonderful, which are holy, which are sacred, such as Kurukshetra, the 7 cities of pilgrimage, and holy places like Pushkar. 151. He may visit rivers like Kritamala, Payaswini, the sacred river Tamraparni, Gautami, Reva, Triveni and Gomati. 152. Krishna, Venya, Tungabhadra, Tapati, Payoshni, Bhinwara, Yamuna, Bhagirathi, Neera, Ganga, where it meets the ocean. 153. He may visit mountains like Rishyamukh, Srishail, Vyankat mountain, Sahya, Brahmagiri on the Godavari river, which destroys sins by visit. 154. When he will climb Himalayas, the sins are destroyed at every step. The great sages would undertake this pilgrimage. 155. Sannyasis should go through the great forests like Dandaka, Brihadvana, Naimisha and Anandavana, etc. 156. The Yati should visit the monasteries of the sages like Chavana, Kapila, Vyasa, then of Gautama, Vamana and the great Badarika, which burn the past karma. 157. Sannyasi should go to such places. He should beg for food at various places, which please listen to. 158. What is Pura or a city? City is a place where there are good roads and marketplaces. Village is a place where there are no big roads or markets. 159. The places where there are stables of cows and where cowherds live are called Vraja. Then the place where water supply is provided is called Sartha. There sannyasi may wander in the crowds of pilgrims. 160. Sannyasi should visit such places for begging. The Lord Sri Krishna is giving details further about this.
वानप्रस्थाश्रमपदेषु अभीक्ष्णं भैक्ष्यमाचरेत्
संसिध्येत्य संसिध्येत
त्यक्त
संसिध्येत
त्यक्त
त्यक्त सम्मोहः शुद्धसत्त्वशिलान्धसा. Meaning of the verse: he should often beg alms from the hermitages of Vanaprasthis. His mind being purified by the food obtained by gleaning grains from the fields, he is free of attachment and attains the goal of his life soon. 161. He should beg at the door of the Vanaprasthi so that his mind will be pure. 162. As the food from the house of Vanaprasthi is pure and sattvic, this beggar also becomes pure in character. 163. It is for this purity of the food and the mind, the mendicant, the sannyasi, should always go to the door of the forest dwellers. 164. When such pure food is eaten, the monk becomes free from desire and enjoys inner peace. 165. When he becomes desireless, he does not look at the world as real. Then how can there be attachment to objects of senses? There is natural apathy. नैतद्वस्तुतया पश्येत् दृश्यमानं विनश्यति असक्तचित्तो विरमेत् इहामुत्र चिकीर्षितात्. Meaning of the verse: he should not regard this visible world as real because it is perishable. Therefore, with his mind unattached to this world as well as to the next, he should cease from every activity intended to secure the objects of senses. 166. Whatever is seen here perishes. This is our actual experience. But it's surprising how people deluded by ignorance become caught in the net of enjoyment of pleasures. 167. Therefore, a man whose mind has become purified by taking only sattvic food from the forest dwellers, etc., does not see the objects of this world as real at all. Then how can there be attachment to those objects? 168. Thus, when he knows that all visible world is not real and not durable, his mind is free from desire to enjoy those objects, and naturally he does not even mentally touch either the pleasures in this world or in the heaven. 169. Only such a sannyasi, free from all enticements, can concentrate his mind on the path of liberation and may wander at his will everywhere with a mind which is rich with self-knowledge. 170. Eknath says the Lord Narayana now describes that self-knowledge is evident in that sannyasi who realizes the falseness of visible world and complete satisfaction in the state of Atman. Yadedatmani
Detatmani
Yaddetatmani jagan manovak prana sanhatam sarvam mayeti tarkena swasthastya katva tyaktva swastastyaktva na tatsmaret. Sorry.
No, going good. Don't say that. Good.
Of the verse: he realizes that all exists apart from the self. This objective universe, up to now regarded as mine, as well as the body referred to as I, joined with the mind, speech and the breath, as a mere mental illusion, and therefore he turns his back on it. He is expected not to think of it anymore and remain established in the self. 171. On the real backdrop of Atman, the sannyasi looks as a dream or an illusion at this entire world, the people in the world, as well as the sense of me about the physical body, as well as the mind, the speech, the breath and the consciousness. 117.2. This is as unreal as the apparent serpent on a rope, or the brilliance of silvery color in the shell, or the appearance of water on vast open land as mirage. 173. He realizes that the visible world is like a dream, and for him it is false. He neither pays attention to it nor looks at it with any respect. 174. Just as a man who is awakened from a dream does not take the happenings in the dream as real, so the man who is thus mentally established firmly in his Atman does not even remember the outer world made of the five great elements. 171. 175. The Lord said to Uddhava, I have told you the code of conduct of the Bahudaka, who has three controlling staffs, Tridanda. Now please listen to the signs and actions of Hansa and Paramahansa. 176. The sannyasa is classified in four types. One is Hansa, the second is Paramahansa, but the earlier stages are called Bahudaka and Kutichaka. 177. When a person ceases to do the duties of a householder and takes up the life of a sannyasi, but he is not doing any meditation nor has he self-knowledge and lives in his village only for food, he is called a Kutichaka. 178. This person stops the maintenance of sacred fire and his wife, but does not give up the sacred thread and the long hair, and therefore he is eligible to recite the Gayatri Mantra. 179. Kutichaka begs for food or depends upon the food given by his son. He builds a small hut near the house of his son and resides for the most part of his time in that hut. He does not go far away from his place. 180. Now Bahudaka is the person who gives up the sacred thread and the long hair, accepts the three controls, performs actions but has no self-knowledge. 181. He has no acute austerity. He has neither serious faith in self-knowledge, but he is much attached to rituals. 182. A person by determination of being free from desires follows the path of acquisition of knowledge. He gets rid of the sacred thread and the long hair as well as the occupation with rituals and has a great tendency of meditation on the self. 183. This type of sannyasa is called Vaividisha, and the person who conducts his life like this with great faith is called Hamsa. Some people call him Paramahansa also. 184. But the signs of Paramahansa are different. Please listen to them. He is having great loyalty to the path of knowledge. Inner peace is always prevalent in his house. He disregards the three gunas of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. 185. He is convinced that rituals and other ceremonies are all useless and unreal and conceives himself as free of all karma. He knows that action, the performance of action and the doer of action are all depending on the destiny and are part of Prakriti or nature. 186. The man who lives peacefully like this is called Paramahansa. He does not bother about math or a special hut for him. He is always disinterested and independent. 187. The Lord Sri Krishna said, O Uddhava, I shall now tell you the duties and activities of the Hamsa and the Paramahamsa clearly. Jnana nishtho virakto va madbhakto vanapekshakaha sallingana tyaktva chareda vidhigocharaha. Meaning of the verse. No longer governed by the spiritual ordinance, the man who is established in self-knowledge, though outwardly appearing as a seeker of liberation or a devotee of the Lord, seeking nothing, not even liberation, may do as he likes, renouncing the four ashramas and their special marks. 188. When the person is completely averse to pleasures received by senses, but is very eager for self-knowledge and is really desireless, is the true sannyasi. 189. He is rich with knowledge, his mind always merged in the meditation of the self, which is never disturbed, is called Hamsa, and in this respect he is equal to Paramahamsa. 190. When the Yati is a devotee of mine and all his desires have come to rest and he has no desire for liberation also, then only that is the real sannyasa. 191. Those who are my devotees and have faith in the path of knowledge should inwardly relinquish the staff and other signs of ashramas, but outwardly they may continue to keep them in order to maintain the order of the society and to educate others. 192. The Lord will later on explain this way of life, But he said, O Uddhava, for now please listen to the nature of real renunciation. 193. Such a person maintains the duties of the particular ashrama, but is not slave to the rules of performances of the rites. This is like the reflection in water which moves, but the original object does not move. So inwardly he does not move, but outwardly he performs all actions. 194. In all his activities, he is quite aware that he is beyond karma, but dutifully keeps up the performance. 195. Thus, though he does everything, he is not afraid of the prohibitions and sanctions regarding them. Even at times, he flouts all rules and acts with inspiration. 196. The Lord is further going to tell the signs of total renunciation of a man who does not touch the duties of ashrama and does not wield the symbols and signs like the staff, etc. 197. Now he is describing the behavior of a man who keeps staff, etc., signs for maintenance of social order, but is inwardly desireless. Buddho balakavat kridet kushalo chadavaccharet vadedunmattavad vidvan gocharyannaigamascharit. Meaning of the verse: the wise man of self-knowledge, though sound of judgment, should behave like a child who plays freely without sense of fear or responsibility. Though clever, he should behave like a dullard. Though learned, he should rave like a madman. Though devotee to the teaching of Vedas, he should behave like an animal without sense or consistency. 198. The man who has pure knowledge and has discrimination behaves like a child outwardly. He drops his pride of the body and sustains with a sane and balanced mind, whether he is respected or insulted. 199. Inwardly, he is free of all karma, but outwardly, he perfectly observes every detail of all religious rituals as if he is bound and attached to them, and he does not leave any defect in the performance. 200. He knows the signs of religion and opinions and actions which are against the religion. In all these matters, he is learned, but if somebody asks any question, he does not give proper reply to satisfy the man and speaks incoherently. 201. Being afraid of publicity and crowd of inquirers, he purposely does not give satisfactory answers and makes a show of being a madman. 202. He knows the inner meaning of Vedas and the secret knowledge and the meaning of scriptural signs, but does not show it anyway. On the contrary, he wishes that people should call him a fool and leave him alone, and therefore he behaves like a beast without any reason. 203. He therefore does not get involved in arguments and counter-arguments about Vedas and knowledge given in religious books, or about other social or cultural matters. Eknath says this is further being told by the Lord Sri Krishna. Vedavadarato nasyan pakhandi na haitukaha.
Na pakhandi. Na
Sorry.
syat. Na pakhandi.
Sorry. Vedavadarato na syat na pakhandi na haitukaha shushkavada vivadena kanchit paksham samashrayet. Meaning of the verse: he should not take delight in expounding the section of the Vedas about ritual acts. He should not observe any rules of conduct opposed to the Vedas and the books of law or Smriti. He should not be devoted to empty arguments and should not take any side in any fruitless discussion. 204. This man, being a realized soul, does not indulge in arguing about this or that meaning based on the opinion of Mimamsakas, and does not discuss about the details of other secular philosophical subjects. 205. One who has experienced the joy in the Atman does not go into logical or otherwise arguments with right or wrong in different interpretations of the statements made in the scriptures. 206. Yeah.
Okay, we finished 100 verses. Good. Excellent reading, such powerful and such clarity. Huh? But first you share your thoughts, Sajid.
Yeah, I'll try to. Yeah, it was so the right from the beginning, the life of a sannyasi is described right from the verse 106, I think, from where I started. Yeah. So so how they earn their living, this sannyas, so the main source is through, receiving their daily livelihood is through actually begging for alms. And that also is described, like how he should beg alms from like a brahmana first, and then a kshatriya. If there is no brahmana, then kshatriya, then, and if there is no kshatriya, then vaishya, then the last option is the shudra. He describes that also.
Not like
Then
that. The Brahmins who are not doing the Brahmana job and they are, let's say, becoming security guards, then they are Kshatriyas and they are no more
oh yes,
Brahmanas.
that is the meaning. Okay,
The Brahmanas who are doing the business,
that is
they are
vaishya.
no more Brahmanas, but they are Vaishyas in that sense.
Okay, okay.
Hmm. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
a
go ahead.
livelihood. Okay, so then then it comes to begging for alms, like he should go from and then he describes the moral behavior of Brahmins. He should not beg from Brahmins whose behavior is not respected in society, or who are ostracized or something like that. Then he should also go begging for alms from only 7 houses, they say. So that is the 7 houses. Then how he should actually offer that, how should eat that food also very nicely it was described here. Actually, he should go to the bank of a lake or a pond, and then offer that, divide the food into 4 parts: one for Lord Vishnu, one for Lord Brahma, one for sun god, and one for all other living beings, like. And then if any other beggar or somebody comes along and asks for food, then he should be ready to offer that also. And then this is nicely described how you should do this twice achamanam. How you should pour water and sprinkle water, and then utter om 12 times, by which the food becomes pure. So make this food becoming pure is described in a few verses. That is sattvic. That is important because for this sannyasi to have that, to develop that sattvic mind. So that is why offering this food is described here. And also from whom he should receive that food. Like forest dwellers are preferred because and then offering of the food, how he should do it also. He should put it in the water. For Lord Vishnu, he should put it in the water, and the part meant for other beings should be kept on the ground in a leaf, etc. Yeah. And then one thing is this, that sannyasi should not feel proud of his actions. Like even if he offers somebody out of generosity, all these actions he should not feel, and he is doing it actually. And not waste the food or overeat food. Then it talks some verses about attachment and desirelessness. So some beautifully described it. So this verse is 127. The sannyasi yokes his senses to his mind, and then that ties his mind to the universal energy. So he sees only that universal energy everywhere, and that he is part of that energy. And this was, he's happy in the joy of the self, and there is always energetic attitude within him, because that there is that everlasting joy of Atman. He's identifying himself with that everlasting joy, and that is why he's free to wander alone. He feels that sense of freedom, to that unbroken joy, so that he prefers to wander alone. And here he describes how the unity of Jiva and Bhagavan in this verse, like, he says, in a secluded place he has full faith in me, and he meditates on Bhagavan, and that he realizes that unity of that everything is just one. Yeah, that is a constant, he have faith in me and constant awareness of me. So that is why this sannyasi, they try not to be disturbed by crowds, and they are happy being alone. And see, this view 133, 144 is all describing that how this sannyasi sees wholehearted, he sees everything wholeheartedly, he dedicates to Bhagavan and sees Bhagavan everywhere. So with this undivided attention, he forgets everything, that he forgets his body, mind and all, and he is focused on that oneness. So that sense of duality is what which causes fear. That is in 136 they talk about the duality and fear. So when there is oneness, there is no fear at all. So he becomes fearless. And then there is this bondage and liberation. So that was described very nicely in one verse where they says attachment to objects is bondage and detachment is like freedom. That is the attachment to senses of objects is bondage, and then when there is desistance of objects, it amounts to freedom. So sannyasi should have control the urges, 6 urges, and then have no desire for anything, they say. So that is about. So these verses are about surrendering all actions to me and letting that to Bhagavan and letting go of the concept of being the doer of the actions. So the 149 it talks about being free, how a sannyasi attains like the desirelessness and the experience of Brahman in everything and in every being. Yeah, then where he may visit the holy places, the which are recommended to visit, like holy Pushkar or Kurukshetra, all the mountains, Himalayas. Himalayas are very recommended because they say that when you climb Himalayas, the sins are destroyed at every step. And then here nicely described what is a pura and a city and a village. Yeah, I mean, the main thing is how the sannyasi lives his life was very nicely covered. I think you all can also you also can what do you call say what you thought about the verses. Yeah.
Someone else. Anybody has any other thoughts?
I think I had marked 172,
Ah,
unreal serpent on the rope or the brilliance of this one. These are all examples of what is unreal. 174, just like a man is awakened from the dream and does not take the dream as real. So this is also one point which I just marked it. I'm just telling the points which, because whatever he told, I had all marked it as important. Right? So Sajid has done that part. So I'm just telling the further one, 176 sannyasis, how the sannyasis can be classified into 4 types. This I am reading for the first time only. That even in sannyasis there are 4 types, and each are one stages is what I could make out. So 176, 180, 184, the signs of Paramahamsas are different. 184 and 185. Then 191, those who are my devotees and have full faith in the path of knowledge should inwardly relinquish the staff and other signs of ashramas, but outwardly they may continue to keep in order. This is what I found it important. And then in all his 194, in all his activities, he is quite aware that he is beyond karma, but dutifully keeps up the performance. So 194, 195. And then 198, a man who has pure knowledge and has discrimination behaves like a child outwardly. He drops his pride of the body and sustains with a sane and balanced mind, whether he is respected or insulted. So this is 1 point. And 202. He knows the inner meaning of Vedas and secret knowledge and the meaning of scriptural sense, but does not show it anywhere. On the contrary, he wishes that people call him a fool and leave him alone. Therefore, he behaves like a beast without reason. So these 202.
good. Venkatesji, you just added on to
That was
you.
perfect. I mean, those are the great verses. I mean, Very nice that you marked this.
Excellent. Enjoyed. Actually, today's reading was so, every day's reading, every time it's nice, but today it's really such a peak. Amazing. Great. So then tomorrow we'll start from 206 to aim to finish at least 100 verses. Over to you, Sajivji, for closing words.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Sajivji, for lovely reading.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sajivji.